Gotcha. So I just remembered another. You were asking me like about reading the air. Like
Yes.
in like in Japan, they have this drinking culture they call Nomikai. You know, so usually back home, I haven't really worked back home, but I know because well, I'm from there. We don't really have that culture of gathering together after work to go and drink. People want to go back home to their families, and like So, but here in Japan, like they have that, like they want to gather after work and go, you know, like drink and stuff. So if, for instance, me, like they will invite you, and when they invite you, like implicitly, like they don't say it overtly, but they expect you to come. Like it's an invitation, but it's not. Most of the time, like for the typical Japanese, it's not really like let's go if you have time, like that light invitation from back home. Here it means something, especially if it's your boss, like if there's something like that is how they socialize. It's part of like their social system. So for you, you won't know the importance of that. Like it will completely, you'll be like, it's just inviting me. So you refuse once, twice, thrice. All out of nowhere, people start judging you, and you don't know people are judging you because you don't know that you just, like you did something that they didn't
Mm.
expect you to do, you know. But if someone doesn't tell you, okay, Japanese, they do this, they do that, but it's not as insignificant as you would think, you know. So, like, the- this is just one example. Like, there are many things that for them they take it like it's really important in their eyes, but for us it is not that important. Recently I've even seen like the sakura. I was reading about the sakura culture, like going around. For them, when it's sakura time, everyone is excited to go see the sakura and stuff.
Never understood that excitement by the way.
Like for an African, you're like, but what's so special about flowers, man? Like these are just flowers. But you know, that's how they gather. Like it's not just about the flowers, it's about like the getting together, the drinking together. And then like those Domicas and those gather, you'd go, and as Bonnie was saying, he discovered that you need to address like your superiors in this, that, in the other. Back home you just call them by their name. Here you dare call someone like by your boss by their name. Even if you didn't mean to be rude, that is how the other person is perceiving it. So it doesn't matter at the end of the day. So, but when you go to those Namicas, all those barriers they fall. People drink, they are drunk, and everyone is having fun. And even the people that they used to not talk to you, like at office, or they start calling you by your name. Your boss starts making jokes, and all barriers fall. You're like, what? You and I were not cool like that. I mean, I don't remember you and I being this cool and stuff. You know, but everyone plays along. For you, you think they are playing along, but actually they are not playing along. They are being themselves. Like they are loosening up at that moment. Then the following day, you guys go back to office and everything goes back to how it was before the Nomica. Like you have to call people by, just because you guys drank yesterday and everything was fun and they called you by your name, you even called them by your name. If you don't go the following day calling them like acting all friendly, like you guys are back to what it was before that Nomica. So these
So
are things that confuse us, you
so
know.
whatever happens at the nomikai stays at the nomikai.
That is the perfect, like they say it all over the world, but here they really practice it.
Okay. I did internship for 2 weeks. Those were, I think, some of my longest 2 weeks in this country. There have been others, of course, but those were really tough. And the reason why I wanted to do the internship, it wasn't really to find a job, but more like to experience the working environment in Japan. And one of the things was, of course, the trains. Those morning trains, they take the life out of you. They suck the life out of you. They are so full. You can't turn, you can't twist. You feel like sardines.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, of course, there's the signing in and signing out. Back home, we do have the signing in and signing out, but this one is really different. Like, in that, if you're supposed to start work at 9 and maybe you arrive at 9:01, someone will call you aside and, you know, sort of warn you. But I
Wow.
was an intern. I was an intern, so it was still a big deal. Not that it happened to me, but I saw it happening to someone else. So
Okay.
they checked in at 9:01, and I don't think they had a very good day. Then the other thing that I saw was the bells. Guys, I last had bells in high school, So at 9 exactly, the bell rang for work to start. At midday, the bell rang for you to go out and have lunch. At 1 o'clock, the bell rang for you to start work again. And at 5,
Yeah.
the bell rang for you to end work. I
Really?
not lie to you, I was
Yeah. I'm glad you brought that up.
traumatized.
Yeah.
I was
I
traumatized.
Yeah, I went back home. I went back home because I came to Japan and I stayed almost 4 years without going back home. Then I went back home. These things you change, you don't realize that you're changing. Like change just creeps up on you. You don't know small things here and there. You start developing habits. Then it becomes your new normal. Then you go back, like when you first come, you have a cultural shock when you first come because you just came out of your society and stuff. Now you go back home. Now there's a counter shock. you know, I went and I was having this conversation with a friend. We grew up together, studied together, and I was telling him about all these things. He was looking at me like, huh? What are like bells? Like, he's like for them at work to check. They actually they can come at 10 and write that they came at 8 o'clock. When I like you, man, you
Exactly.
put your time. No one is going to. When me I have a card, I told them, I showed them, you see, this is me. Like, I come. You can't even enter the building without this card. He's like, man, that is too much. I'm like, but that's the normal. And you get used to this thing. You stop seeing them as how they call it, weird or strange. It
Yeah.
becomes your new normal. So you go back home. That is just too much for the people back there. Sometimes I worry that, man, I don't think I can work back home anymore. How will I do? Because people will find me. They'll be like, you are
You
just too
you go and
complicated.
stress people with your new normal.
Yeah, you are just too complicated. So, yeah, those are a few experiences.
I guess what you're saying is like the work environment in Japan is kind of very strict. Um, and less strict than back home when you can come in anytime and then go out for a break and then come back in. I mean, talking
Yeah.
about that, like with that experience, what have you learned about yourself? What has changed about you in
Mm.
Japan with that sort of experience, the strict culture?
Well, well, to be honest, at first I found it oppressive a little bit. I was like, man, yeah. But now I think the lack of it would make me feel like something is wrong.
Okay.
I'd be like, like, and I used to fear because, as Morongi mentioned, if you come in the morning, like you're supposed to start work at 9, and you check in at 9:01. You're not writing, you're checking, so the system machine knows. So there's no hiding. People will know. The guy that is controlling that thing will know that you came at 9:01. We're not talking to a person here. So you know I think I've been late once, just once. For Japanese, they never get late. To tell you that I needed to adapt to that system, I came late once, and let me tell you, that 1 minute was. You guys are gonna be shocked by this, but it was deducted from, from you know,
Your
from my,
salary,
yeah.
the
But
one
like
minute,
yeah, it's
the
insignificant.
60 seconds you were late.
Yeah, it was insignificant, but it was deducted. Like, so it wasn't like I was like, I was like, yo, man, wait a minute. Like, it's just a minute, like, but I think, it is to, to show you, to tell you that, man, and no one told me, no one even told me, like, and it was written, like, on the statement at the end of the day, at the end of the month, you're late this much time and this much time was deducted. So next time, let me tell you, from then on, I've never been late.
Wow.
you know, now I'm used to, not because I fear, but how they call it, like, I just, like, I think my mind has, it's now on in that mode. It's time,
Like you're
and
falling in line.
yeah, even like right now we are like doing telework, and there's no checking in, right? Like, you wake up in the morning and then you send an email to your boss to tell them, all right, good morning, I've started work, you know, and then when you're done, you know, at the end of the day, you also send an email to say you're done. So that is like, during this COVID time, that's how it goes. So, like, even that email, I like, it's just now part of who I am. I send it exactly at the same time every morning, So I and I don't find it oppressive anymore. That
Okay.
is the scary part.
You got
Maybe.
used to it, I guess.
Yeah, I'm used to it now. I'm totally used to it now.
What about you, Ndoi? What has been your experience working in Japan? Like, what has it changed about you?
Mm.
Or did you learn anything?
Okay, so like he said, like my brother said, it was like before when it was not that strict. When I was working for some company, like you can go sometime, you can take holidays when you want. But after I came here in Japan, the company was like a foreign company, but still they are like doing the Japanese way. So
Mm.
you have only 15 days in the year. So I was like saying, what?
Wow.
Only 15 days? It's it's nothing, right?
That is
So
true.
yeah, that was so strict for me. So I use it to take like 1 month.
Wow.
For me, 1 month is at
Yeah.
least. If you say like if you are going back to hometown, you think
Yeah.
15 days is enough? No, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
It will take maybe 2 days to get your home or 1 day to get home,
Yeah.
right? And we take again. So maybe you at least you will stay at home like 12 days. So I was like, no, this is too short. This is not normal. I say, oh no, this is the Japanese system. So that was like a little bit stressful for me. And
Mm.
also Moringa said, like about getting on the train so crowded
Mm.
and you can never get a seat. All
Mm.
these things was like for me so stressful at the beginning, and I didn't used to do before. I didn't. That was a new experience for me, taking
Mm.
the crowded train in the morning and going to work every day. Yeah, and like having so small, very small holidays. That was not, and I use it to work like from Monday to Saturday. That
Mm-hmm.
was a lot. Yeah. So that was very tough for me at the beginning, but I use it too, and I learned something about that. Yeah,
How
so
has
far.
it changed you as a person?
Hmm?
How has this experience changed you as a person?
I think I yeah I maybe more tough than before because I was like using to work like
Yeah,
the lazy
yeah,
way.
Mm-hmm.
But now
yeah.
I'm really tough. Right? Now I'm really tough because since I came here, like I said, like taking a train in the morning, I didn't used to, and it was hard because I'm a little bit tall, so I always like hit the trap. So he was like, "Oh my God, what's that?" Yeah, but now I used to, and it's okay. I don't complain about anymore, and I'm fine even for 10 days holidays. But like I working for myself, so I don't have any problem. I can go when I want. I can come back when I want. So it's
Okay.
okay.
Mm.
Yeah.
Oni,
Yes.
what about you? What has, this working in Japan taught you? What have you learned?
Well, I've learned about the Japanese culture, and I know what I like about it and what I don't like about it.
Okay. Do you mind
Yeah,
sharing?
the
Do you
work
mind sharing,
environment. For example, that strict time. scheduling, I still maybe at times don't agree with it as much. As much as you're working for a company, I think there is also the feeling of you're leaving. Yeah, you're not just working for the company, and then it's like you and the company are different things. Yeah,
I think that's how it should be.
You should work.
Yeah.
You should work, and maybe if I have a problem, I should be able to attend to my problem and come back and continue working. For example, yeah. But here it's like if I need to go to the city office, I am in such a bind because I can't leave work, and the city office only opens during work hours. For example. So I have to take like an official break, from work for me to attend to
deducted from your salary, right?
to take a personal to take some personal time. So maybe things like those should be there should be some level of understanding, in my opinion. And if I was in my own environment, let's say if I was working for myself like Ndoye is, I would know exactly what I like about the Japanese work culture and what I don't like about the Japanese work culture, and I can merge them. However, I think they put in much more time, which we don't in back home. We put much less time back home.
Okay. I have a question, especially for you guys who are working in Japanese companies. The country is moving towards inclusivity and diversity. You have your skills, you can make a contribution to your company. But do you ever sometimes feel like I'm just the black guy for the inclusivity and diversity perspective of this company? Do you ever feel like that?
Can I go first?
Yes, please.
Yeah, I personally don't feel like that. I don't feel like because I had I'm not the first black person in the company. I wasn't the first black person in the company. They already had one. I have a senpai, and we are there. It's true the company is really looking to be inclusive and diverse, and all those things. But I'd like it's not I'd like I feel like I'm there for the skills I have. Although the Japanese skill is a big thing on the balance, because they feel more comfortable if you try at least, if you have a certain level, of course they will feel more comfortable, with you. So if on top of that you have the skills they require, at least at, the company I am, I think even if you're, I don't know from what, part of the world, you'll still be hired. So I don't think it's just to add to the scenery, add color. Yeah, that's the word I'm looking for. Yeah. What about you, Bonnie? What do you think?
I don't think so, because my company is quite private. There is very little support from government, so I don't know whether being diverse would help the company in any way. Yeah, maybe if there was some way they were benefiting from having foreigners, maybe it would. I think they really require my skills.
Okay.
Yeah.
I am probably the only one with those specific skills in the company. So from that perspective, yes, but maybe you never know, because your Japanese level is not as good. Yeah.
That is
yeah.
also true.
So I can't say 100% that I am sure that's the case. Yeah, but I really do feel like I do bring a different set of skills to the company, which they really needed at the time.
Okay.
See, like for instance, when I was doing job on the company I'm working for now, during their briefing session, of course, they brought up that picture of that senpai, that African guy that was there before me, and they show him, like when they're introducing the company, they show him when they are talking about being inclusive. Of course, they use like they use that image, to show that they are open, but I don't think there's any underlying, like, malicious intention behind it. I think any company anywhere in the world, like, probably would do things like that. See, the thing about Japanese, I think they are really on, like, what can you do? What are your, what can you bring to this company? So it's based, like, it's really, really based on the kind of, like, what you can do and your skills. I don't
And
think
not
it's
your color or race.
yeah, that's what I want to say.
Okay, good.
Interesting.
I wanted to ask a question for you guys working for Japanese company. Did you ever like sometimes feeling like because I hear some people saying that there is some discrimination about if like they think like maybe African they don't have enough skills, so sometimes some company they prefer like taking someone from like China or from Taiwan or from maybe USA, comparing with the Africans, because maybe this is like some judgment they have already about us, thinking we are stupid or we don't know nothing. So I wanted to know if you guys have this kind of problem before, like going to some company, they just didn't hire you because you're African or you black or something like that.
Well, personally, it's not really a job, but for part-time jobs, I have met that discrimination. Jobs, they may not come out to say it strongly, but I know that is the reason why probably I wasn't hired, especially when it comes to these like English teaching jobs. They usually write native speaker and blah, 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 blah. But I've always felt like for things like that, there are people who are native speakers, but they can't teach. So I feel like they always miss out on other people who might have a bigger contribution in that aspect. But because they have that bias in their minds already, they will not take up those, especially us Africans. So for that particular industry of teaching English, that bias has been there, that discrimination has been there for some companies and for some areas. I don't know about other kinds of companies.
If I may go, I may take a slightly different view. Yeah. I think we are probably all went through the university process, for example.
Yeah.
And let's say you get you're going through your research and you're looking for something to read up on as a backup for your work. Yeah. If you get a research paper done from the UK and you get a research paper done from India, you will almost implicitly trust the UK one.
Very true.
It is not like it's not even malicious. Sometimes it's not even wrong, Yeah, because when maybe you read it, once you've read it, then you might realize, oh, the content is the same. But on first sight, when I'm Googling, I will click on the one from the University of Netherlands before I click on the one from the University of Nairobi. You get? So I would understand if I'm presented to a Japanese company and they already have that mindset. Yeah. But if you get in, then like I am sure it has happened in my company. They are really surprised about your ability. When you get there and then you can do things that nobody else in the company can do, then they realize, oh, maybe maybe
George,
generally,
Yeah.
generally we can
Mm,
generalize.
mm.
Generally, we can generalize, but you can actually be able to get somebody who is much better than a Japanese or a Caucasian or something. So I don't really blame somebody who would have an explicit bias of, oh, this is an African and this is a European, this is a Japanese or this is a Malaysian. That bias exists even in us Africans.
In every community,
In
like
every,
people have,
even in
yeah,
Africa, even in Kenya, I have a bias with the different sections of Kenya. You get. So I would imagine it would
yeah.
happen. It would happen now when we go even higher and higher and higher. So I don't really think of that as a negative. I think of it like, okay, now that can be it can be a wall. It can be something that you need to overcome. But once you're
Mhm.
there, then you can show that
Exactly.
for
I
me,
completely agree with that.
I am this good.
Mm, mm. Because biases don't really stand up to what, like, interaction. Like, people have ideas of people. Then you meet the person, you're like, oh, but wait a minute, this person is completely different from, like recently we were having this conversation about Africa, like being painted by the media as poor, there's war, and everywhere. Yet that is not the only face, the only side of Africa. But since that's what the media is putting out there, people tend to have, prejudice, certain preconceived ideas, So I it's wrong. It's really unfair. But once you get yourself in certain situations, I think it's now your responsibility as a person to prove them wrong, not just by words but by actions.
yeah, yeah.
So yeah,
I think
A
that's the point.
challenge on to us as Africans.
Yeah, proving them
Shine
wrong.
yeah,
we are.
yeah. Not just, oh, you can say, but they see us like this, they treat us like this. Okay, let's show them. Me, I'm all for, let's show them now that we are worth it. We are equal. We can do as much or even better than they can do.
Yeah, yeah,
Mm.
great.
That's true. But I think sometimes it's kind of tough if, for example, it's always when I see that, like, even not in Japan, even in other countries. So like the African people, they have to do more than the others, right?
That's
So for
true.
example, you guys are working in some company,
Yeah,
so you have to do like more than other co-workers
That's true.
keep there working. So
And
I
if
think
you're
this
a
is
woman who is black, multiply that effort by 100.
Wow.
a black woman is more harder in Japan, I
Like
think,
it's
right?
tougher. Not because already there's already that divide between male and female. Now if you're
Mm-hmm.
black, so you have the blackness on you, then you have the female on you. So you really have to outdo yourself.
yeah, I can imagine. It
I
must be
mean,
tough for women because, well,
Uh,
not really flattering for this society, but they need to do a lot of work in, women's rights. So even Japanese women are complaining, about inequalities. So being black and being a woman at that in this society must be quite a challenge.
Yes.
So you're guilty till proven innocent. You really, as Ndoy said, like you really have to outdo yourself to. It is
Yes.
tough. It
Yes.
is tough, but I personally, I don't really blame them for that. I feel like it's that's how it works, even in the U.S. or even in Europe. You know,
Even in Africa.
even in Africa. Yeah. So it's tough, but it's on us to change the perspective.
Perspective. That is
Yes.
very true. That is very true. So guys, any final words of advice or caution to someone out there who might be thinking of either working in Japan or starting a business? What are some of those things they need to have at the back of their mind? Everyone is just smiling.
be prepared. Be prepared for a different experience.
Okay.
And take it as a positive experience. Take everything positively, because it is not, in most cases, even when something happens, it's usually not out of malice. I find Japanese are the least malicious people. Even their preconceived ideas are usually just out of ignorance rather than malice. See, I think that it would be different if somebody was just outright doesn't like you. But here they just, maybe you do something that they don't understand because that's their culture. They've never done things like that. Yeah. So you can make a mistake and you go through the process of realizing that this was a mistake, and it makes you feel bad. But just realize, this is just the way things work. Here is different. So you go in with that mindset. I'm going to learn a lot. I'm going to make my mistakes from here and there. And if you get your opportunity, I think it's a very nice place to work. It's a very nice place to live. It's nice.
Okay.
Yeah. Doi?
I think it's like, for me, if someone wanna come here for work or for business, they can take it like a challenge, but have to be ready for all of those things that person can face. Like you have to be ready about your mentality. You try to be strong and try to face the culture, and try to be try to be tough enough, and then try to do your best, respect the culture. But this is a country, like my brother said, it's like a very nice country, very peaceful country. There is no one who will shoot on you, or there is no abusing, like police abusing or this kind of stuff. So it's a very nice place to live when you can find the opportunity to find a job or to set up your own business. It's a good place to be, I think so. So just be ready and try to be good citizens also. It's very important.
Very true.
Yeah.
Bagu?
Yeah, me, I'll bounce off of the malicious part. Like, I so agree with that. Japanese are really the least malicious people I've ever met in my life. That one I can definitely say. When they do things, there's usually no underlying intention. Now, for us as Africans, we really fail to see that, because back home, man, like, I feel like we are the people that have the most underlying intentions. People are doing things, but they are doing them with a certain intention. That's something that we need to change about ourselves. Like in Japan. So it was something that because I needed time to understand that. Like, when they scold you, when they correct you or tell you to do this, that, and the other, it is for the greater good. It is to put you on the right path. It is not to put you on the wrong path. So when you finally realize that, everything you experience, even if you've had a few embarrassments here, this, that, and the other, it's not about you. It's not about you as a person. Don't take it personally. It's not personal. It is just, it is to make things better, to make things go forward. I think that's one of the reasons they became the great country they became, because they're all working towards that purpose. For me, that's what I have to say. I would say for people that want to work in Japan, everything you experience, take it as it comes. Take it as lean into it. That's it.
There are, of course, challenges. That's true. But if you just look at this country, and they got here without oil, without diamonds,
no resources.
Yeah.
Without resources.
So there must be something that they're doing right.
Yeah.
Pick out what it is that they're doing right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely, that's true. Because if you see, like in the second where this country was like just almost nothing was here, and
That's
at
true.
that time, from that time to now, you can see all they do. So it's very
Mm,
great because they are. All we can say is that they are working hard and they are really honest when they are doing something. Like when they are
Yes.
working, they are doing their best to do that better way. So, and I have some experience here when I like going. You guys know that when you go to restaurant or to the shopping, or you see how they are treating you, right?
Yeah.
When I went to Dakar last time, and I went to some restaurant, so I ordered some dish, and then it was like a little bit. It was not hot at all. So I asked the lady, so please can you warm it a little bit because it's a little bit cold. She said no, it's already closed. And the way she said it was very rude. So I just remind me that
Yeah.
it's very different with the Japanese way. Because if that was in Japan, that lady gonna say, "Oh, sorry," and come and take it. Oh, sorry, excuse me. But the
Actually, in
difference.
Japan, you will not experience that. They'll make sure
Never.
that you don't
Yeah.
experience bad service.
Exactly. So that was bad. Also, I paid my money and then asking her, but she was very rude to me. So I said, this is our problem. Our problem, we African. So we even don't respect someone who is bringing money to you. So
Yes.
this is a very big, very problem. So in
Yeah.
Japan, my experience, even when you go to other countries, even in France, even in Morocco, you will
Mm,
see definitely they are very good at like welcoming someone at some even like some restaurant or anything you want. They're gonna try to help you. So I think we have to learn about it. There is a lot of things here. Maybe we have to learn. Even there is something maybe is not good. So I'm in my brain, in my mind. I think everywhere we go, we have to learn the good things, right?
mhm,
Yes.
So this
Yeah.
is
Yes.
good to copy, and we're gonna copy it. And this is bad, so just let it there. So
mm.
this is
Yeah.
my yeah.
Now,
So if someone come here and want to work here, want to stay, just copy the good things, like the
Okay,
way they are
that's true.
working, the way they are doing good, better. Yeah, that's
Okay.
Fantastic.
You know,
yeah.
uh, just to sum this up, I remember I was having a conversation with actually Bago yesterday, and he reminded me that John F. Kennedy once said that, you shouldn't ask what your country can do for you. You should ask, what should I do for my country? And I think Japan is like, it really lives on that. They keep asking themselves, what can we do for our
Yeah.
country?
And the best example to support what you just said is during this coronavirus, infection, widespread all over the world. Japan, people are saying now, media is saying now that they succeeded in defeating corona, in stopping the widespread of corona. But there was no lockdown. There was no strict lockdown as we know it in other countries. The
Mm-hmm.
government went on TV and asked people, please stay at home. Stay at home. Don't. The virus won't spread if you guys spread it. If you don't move, it won't spread. So please stay at home. And people stayed at home. When you like friends, the prime minister, he asked people to stay home, and then he went the following day, and people were all out. He went on TV. He's like, I went out today after asking all of you guys to stay home, and I saw people on like in restaurants, people in the streets, people doing this, that, and the other. He said normally this is I would have loved to see all of you guys being happy, doing your thing, being out there. But that would be in normal times. In times like this is not a very responsible behavior. See, in other countries, the government cannot just ask people to do things and they do it. In the US, people will be like, but we have rights. We have our what, our this, that, and the other amendment. You can't just come and take our rights away, you know? But in
Yeah.
Japan, people will
Yes.
be like, okay, since this is what the government is asking, this is for the greater good, as I said earlier, let's do it, and people will do it. So, yeah, this is the best example of what can you do for your country. Everyone is thinking in that line.
Okay. I
But
mean, to sum it up for the listeners, I guess we talked about the experiences, and getting a job in Japan, it can be hard and it can also be easy through going through agencies, also with the long processes with regards to the Japanese companies. But we also learned that with foreign companies, it can be you can have a shorter route in getting a job there. And also with regards to experience Japanese people being in Japan here, like it's with the Japanese culture. It doesn't matter if it's a foreign company or not. Still, some Japanese culture activity still goes on. And like they mentioned, you just have to learn the good things that are here, and then emulate such good things, and then yeah, it should be easy working in Japan, I guess. Yeah.
Right, guys. Thank you so much for joining us today. And to all our listeners, let's ask what we can do for our countries, what we can do for our workplaces, what we can pick from the Japanese. So, guys, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure for me to join you, to know you guys.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Arigato.
Arigato.
Gozaimasu.
Take care, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.